Well, in those days, when there was again a great crowd gathered without anything to eat, Jesus said to his disciples, I have compassion for this crowd. They've been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them away hungry to their home, they will faint on the way, for some have come a great distance. His disciples said, how is one supposed to feed this people with bread here in the desert? Jesus said, how many loaves do you have? 7. Then he ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves. And after giving thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples to distribute. And they distributed them to the people. They also had a few small fish. And after blessing them, Jesus also ordered that they too be distributed. And all ate, and all were filled. And they took up the broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. And those who ate numbered 4,000. And then Jesus sent them away. And immediately he got into the boat with his disciples and went to the district of Galilee. Now, the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread with them in the boat. And they only had 1 loaf. He said, why are you still talking about having no bread? Are your hearts still hardened? Do you still fail to understand? Do you have eyes that fail to see? Ears that fail to hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect? 12. And again, the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect? 7. And do you still not understand? Well, they came to Bethsaida. And they brought to him a blind man in order that he might touch him. And so Jesus took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. And when he had put saliva on his eyes and laid his hands on him, Jesus said, do you see anything? And the man looked up and said, I see people. They look like trees. They're walking around. And so Jesus laid his hands on him again and looked intently. He looked through him. Then his sight was restored, and he saw all things clearly. And Jesus sent him away, saying, see that you do not go into the village. He, though, went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way he said to them, who do people say that I am? Some of them said, John the Baptist. Others said, Elijah. Still others said, one of the prophets. Jesus said, yes, but who do you say that I am? And Peter said, you are the Messiah. And Jesus sternly ordered them that no one should know this. For he began to teach them no great suffering, and be rejected by the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. Now he said all of this quite openly, but Peter rebuked him. So Jesus, turning to the disciples, rebuked Peter and said, get behind me, Satan! For you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things. And then he called the crowd together with his disciples and said, if any wants to be my follower, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. What does it profit a person to gain the whole world but lose their life? Indeed, what will they gain and give in return for their life? Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this sinful generation, Of them will the Son of Man be ashamed, when he comes in the glory of the Father with the holy angels. Truly I tell you, there are some staying here today who will not taste death until they see that the kingdom of God has come in power. Well, 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, and led them apart, up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. And his clothes became dazzling white, such as none on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Moses and Elijah speaking with Jesus. And Peter said, Teacher, it is good for us to be here. Let us build 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. He did not know what to say, for they were terrified. But then a cloud overshadowed them. And from the cloud there came a voice, This is my Son, the Beloved. Listen to him. And suddenly when they looked up, they saw no one standing there but Jesus. And as they were coming back down the mountain, Jesus told them to say nothing to anyone about what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, but wondered what this rising from the dead might mean. Well, they passed on and went through Galilee, and Jesus did not want anyone to know it. For he was teaching his disciples and saying to them, The Son of Man will be betrayed into the hands of sinners, and they will kill him. And 3 days after killing him, he will rise again. They came to Capernaum and entered a house. And Jesus said to the disciples, What were you arguing about with each other on the way? They didn't say anything, because on the way they were arguing with one another who was the greatest. So Jesus sat down and called them to him and said, Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. And he took a little child and put it among them, and taking it up in his arms, he said, Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. If any of you puts a stumbling block in front of one of these little ones who believes in me, it would be better if a great millstone were hung around your neck and you were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. For it is better to enter life maimed than to have 2 hands and go to hell. And if your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. For it is better to enter life lame than to have 2 feet and go to hell. And if your eye causes you to stumble, tear it out. For it is better to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown to hell.